Yeah, if somebody got some questions, they could just ping me on Teams, be in my little duck off corner. Some people be in these joints all day because they just don't want to be, they don't want to be bothered all day and stuff like that. But all my work's pretty much cut out. I have 30 or 40 things to do. They're already automated and already, already done. So, yeah, y'all in another what 20 minutes or something like that, y'all got another story time. It was supposed to be a digital journal, but I'm kind of giving you a prequel to now I kind of figured out what was going on in 2005. Man, 2005, and see, that was after IPR. It's so many memories, man. It's so many memories coming back to me now and stuff. But that was kind of after 2005, which was only 1 year, which was only 1 year before. Well, let's see. No, '05 I had my own apartment. I think I had my own. Yeah, I had my own apartment because y'all gonna get the race story. That was in 2004. So, you know, leaving IPR, I didn't finish. There was people there that was asking me, "What are you gonna do when you leave here?" I still was in the mindset like, "Oh, I want to produce." They're like, "No, you need to do computers because you're one of the top people at this school." Like I didn't even study. They had some of the other students scratching their head trying to figure out. I'm passing a test with flying colors, not even studying. Because remember, I had that early Macintosh experience in second grade. Mac OS really didn't change. I mean, Pro Tools was new to learn, but Mac OS really didn't change. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think from 92 to 97, I had been using Macs. Was it 92 or it might have been 93 when they actually put the mouse, the LC2s? That, I had been using Macintosh, so I had been using mainly Mac, but then I'd be using PC. So I say I was Mac bred, Windows raised. I was Mac bred, but Windows raised. So I could use. I'm like ambidextrous with it. I could use any of it. So I wrote a long list of all the stories you're gonna get because I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna get a lot busier within these next couple months. I'm gonna get super busy, but I want to try to make a whole bunch of them in advance. So you might have 10, 15, 20, you might have 30, 40. It might be 30 stories in advance, and I'll still do things in between to do the digital journal, you know, on a daily. I can still do that on a daily basis and just put little things, little pieces together while I'm working on a lot of other stuff. But, you know, and it keeps my brain sharp. So like I was talking to my homie, and I was like, man, how far you should go? He says some things you might, He said, but people want to hear the story. He said, just tell it all. Do it, tell all, like everything on from front to back on how you came to and all this stuff. But there's of course there's going to be some things that I won't say, and it's not that it could get nobody in trouble because it couldn't. Half of this stuff already happened. Some of these people is gone already, but you know, um, you don't want to just be just totally loose just for the sake of doing it. It's kind of pointless. This is not a clout station. I'm not putting clickbait headlines about other people and stuff and trying to I'm just talking about the story. I'm talking about the story of Minneapolis. So let me adjust this. Folks be nosy sometimes. They be nosy. I'm in here. That's all you need to know. You don't need to look. Oh, he's looking in even more. Even what else is going on, man? Listen, mind your business. So I wrote a list. The one story time. This is gonna be a story time of. It was a close friend of mine, and I knew his brother and stuff. And I don't know what they was trying to do, but he eventually was starting to kind of spiral a little bit. At one point, he was doing real good and stuff like that, and he just kind of, I don't know. I think drugs got involved. That's what I think it was, and then He had some other stuff going on, so we kind of noticed it. Like even when I had to shop and stuff, because I started introducing, he was spending money. He was spending money at both our shops. But I noticed once I got the second shop, he started kind of getting shady. I noticed what he started to do was he was going out to the Manors out there. People know about the Manors. He was going out to the Manors, I think in Brooklyn Park or stuff, and they used to have little scuffles. So dudes would still catch a face for money though. So I started noticing I was like, man, why is he doing that? Like, because he had money. He was getting money, so he didn't really need to do that. That's at 9:30. No, I'm not going no earlier. I'm gonna run through this list and then I'm gonna jump back in. He was getting money, so he didn't really have a reason to be doing some of the things he was doing. But I think there was other stuff going on, and like I said, we were some of our friends and some of the people that we be around. You see what happens, like when folks kind of have the D boys was at the top of the list. But once they start kind of losing money, sometimes they may not have no other skill sets or whatever the case may be, and they start getting shady. They start snaking people and start doing little stuff. So he started owing some of my homies money, gets little bits of stuff like that, and not paying them back and all kind of stuff. And so people are like, man, we ain't about to chase this dude down or whatever. And you can kind of see the downward spiral. So there's a story I'm gonna tell you about, which I suspected a backdoor, and I didn't even really have nothing. There was really no point to even, but I suspected it, and there were some weird confirmations. It kind of broke my heart. You know what I'm saying? Because it was some weird confirmations, and I don't know what was going on. Because I'll tell you one little piece of that story. The first time he was dealing with some grimy chick out of Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center. And I came out there one day and he was hanging out with all these other kind of weird little dudes. Not weird, but these dudes you could tell they was no good. But, I came by there one time and he was shopping with me and I was breaking some bread. And I think I had some CDs for him. And, around this time, this was kind of like, might have been after the shop or kind of around, maybe a little bit around that time. And he ended up started breaking some bread and stuff like that. And so like these guys, they knew more about me than they needed, and I could tell that he might have said something, whatever. So I'm kind of looking at these dudes like, and so we were outside. I think we on, was it Zane or some Manners? It was the man. It was somewhere. We're somewhere, and we're just outside, and he's giving me the money and all that, and I just kind of got a bad vibe or whatever. So, but long story short, going into what this story is going to be, is going to break down as to how I almost got lured to, so to say, to come back out there on a false pretense. You know what I'm saying? That's what I believe. That's what I believe it could have been. You know what I'm saying? Or either he just didn't want to tell me that he needed some help, and then he could have just told me that he needed some help and some bread or whatever, and then I probably could have just looked out for him. But I think these other guys were involved too, and they were. I think they might have been plotting. I don't know. So you're gonna get that story. You're gonna get the Nano System story in terms of Windows XP, Windows 98. You're gonna get that, but I got to get some more footage. So I'm gonna try to get that footage this weekend, man. I'm gonna try to get that footage just so I can just kind of walk through and show you the areas. You're gonna get my analysis on the whole DJ drama, RIAA scandal is what I call it, because RIAA was paying these record labels to do what they needed to do. You're gonna get the Beanie 48 analysis. You're gonna get the Snoop is I don't want Snoop to be my neighbor story. That was in Boston. You're gonna get the Sundown Town analysis. You're gonna get the Jessamine Avenue. This is a story time in St. Paul. And I think when I had Was that? I'm trying to think. When was that? When I had an Oldsmobile. I don't know if it was the blue one or if it was the red one. Um, but you're gonna get the Jessamine story. You gonna get that was like this. I'll say it's involved with some fish, Liberian fish, like Liberian African food fish, and you'll get that. So you gonna get the Raid 2004 story. Um, I'm gonna try to chop that down as much as possible. You gonna get. Oh, I already mentioned it. The Gary. Um, the suspected backdoor story. You gonna get Knife Wonder story. We was listening to Foreign Exchange at Knife Wonder, going to at that time not just Electric Fetus but Fifth Element. You're gonna get that story. And the last story you probably gonna get within these, hopefully within the next month or something, is you gonna get the Stack Dope Part 2 story. And like I say, I'm gonna try to keep him shielded as much as possible and just talk about it from my perspective. But what I will show is all the music and all the stuff we were working on from 2013, the IPR and all that, the Faction album, Welcome to the Woods Volume 2, and where that was supposed to go, Halloween, all of these different things that I started working on a little later as my career started to kind of go up. I was still trying to do the music thing as well. So you're going to get all of those. And I might do another little mini story in a minute, but I'm going to take this meeting.